5.7 magnitude earthquake in Urington, Nevada. Several people right here at our station here in Sacramento have reported feeling those shocks. Some of my coworkers even telling me their desks were shaking. So I want to get over to Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, who is tracking this right now and joining us. Monica.
All right. Well, this comes on the heels of our earthquake last week, a 7.0 off the coast of Northwest California. So this one in Nevada, as you can see, the location of this. And we are getting reports of a few aftershocks right now, much lower in intensity. And we can tell this because you can see the size of the circle right here. That's going to indicate the magnitude felt all the way into Sacramento. So this was a fairly significant earthquake. Just zooming out a little bit, and you can see a perspective of how far away that earthquake actually happened compared to Sacramento. Now, this was just a moment ago. I pulled up this shake map where we can see kind of the intensity right here. And if we can just take away that banner for a second here, I just wanted to show you the coloration and the contours. There's the location of the earthquake. So just some light shaking felt all the way outside of that. Okay, you can put that banner back up now. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure that you could see what those color contours meant. So obviously right around the shaking and where the earthquake happened, we felt a much larger intensity of that earthquake. But nonetheless, we're continuing to track what was a 5.7 earthquake in Nevada here. Just zooming out a little bit so you can see the perspective from Sacramento all the way just east of the crest into Nevada, close to Fallon, actually. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly happened there, closer to Silver Springs, Fernley, and then Virginia City and Carson City as well. This continues to be something that is unfolding at this point, felt all the way into the Sacramento Valley. And again, last week we were tracking that 7.0. So this has been a week full of a lot of shaking in California and Nevada. Some of those smaller circles that you're seeing right there, just the aftershocks from that initial quake. We're going to continue to monitor this as we watch how this earthquake is impacting not only folks in California, but also in Nevada. Alex, I can toss it over to you briefly. I just want to go check the computer because I don't have any access to any recent information outside of that. Okay,
Monica, and this is a very fluid situation. We're trying to gather as much information for you as we can. We are going to continue following this story for you. Again, if you're joining us, we just felt rather a 5.7 magnitude earthquake in Urington, Nevada. This is in Lyon County, Nevada, if you're familiar with that. That is about 3.5 hours driving from Sacramento. So if you want to stay with us for this breaking news, don't forget you can always follow us on our free ABC 10 Plus streaming app, wherever you stream. You can also get our weather alerts that are always available to you to track some of those conditions in the area. And I want to mention, too, we'll be back on the air at 4:30 with the latest update on this earthquake here. I do want to get back to Monica, though, because she is live tracking this for us. She's checking her computer, getting back here. Monica, I'm going to toss it back over to you to get some updates here.
What I wanted to see is the intensity of those earthquakes, the aftershocks that were occurring. Again, the initial 5.7, but I did just see that it potentially went up to a 5.8. So again, in terms of the magnitude, still getting the details on that. A little closer perspective, these are the ones that I was looking at right here. It looks like they're on the range of about a 3.0 with the aftershocks. Now, one caveat is that the USGS is going to look at everything, make sure that they have the right magnitude for each of not only the initial quake, but then the aftershocks as well, as we saw. Now, I also want to let you know, this was a land occurring earthquake, so no tsunami threat. There's nothing like that. The one that we had last week, much different. It was in the Pacific Ocean, and that's why they had to issue a different warning with that tsunami. So nothing like that for today, because this was, again, occurring on the coast or on land, and it was east of the Sierra. These are active areas for earthquakes. If you keep in mind that in terms of what we're feeling, this was traveling underneath the Sierra all the way into the Sacramento Valley. As we zoom out a little bit, you can see how far away indeed the earthquake happened compared to where we were feeling the shaking. The shake maps will continue to update. One thing that we also mentioned last week is I hope that you were able to download my Shake app, because that did alert a lot of people when we had that earthquake last week, and certainly the one for today as well. If you don't have that particular app, you can always go to your emergency alerts on your phone and just open that up. It will be very busy because it's going to alert you on any sort of weather emergency or even civil emergency, but it's something that can keep you ahead of some of these disasters. So again, we're tracking this, which happened just a little bit ago, just around 3:05, I think, right around 3:05, Alex. And this happened in Nevada, very close to Silver Springs and Lyon County, close to Fallon, where that shaking felt all the way into the Sacramento Valley, certainly here at the station in downtown Sacramento. 5.7, a little bit lower than what we saw last week with a 7.0, but this has been a week long of very active earthquake activity. I still need to do a little research in terms of where that fault line is and what the active fault is. Last week we were tracking kind of the convergence of the San Andreas, the Cascadia subduction zone, where we have that Mendocino triple junction there, where everything kind of meets off the Pacific coast. This one is east of the Sierra Nevada crest, an active area. Nevada has a lot of earthquakes, actually, much like California. So this is something that happens periodically. Even if I zoom in or if I zoom out of the map, you're going to be able to see that we have multiple quakes even in California. Now, I am seeing a new circle pop up right here, which indicates to me that there was another quake or aftershock, but it is rather large. So I do want to, can I step off just for a second? I do want to check on what that one was because we don't have live tracking. So I'm going to toss it over to Alex just for a second here so I can get the magnitude of that real quick.
Again, a very fluid situation here. Our chief meteorologist, Monica Woods, tracking the very latest, jumping to her computer to see what that other red circle was. It could be an aftershock or another quake. We're going to continue checking that. But if you are just now joining us right now, we are breaking in on a news alert here. The USGS has confirmed that they're reporting a 5.7 magnitude earthquake in Urington, Nevada. If you're not familiar with it, that is a city in Lyon County, Nevada, about 3.5 hours from us here in Sacramento. But let me tell you, a lot of my colleagues, I stepped out of the studio in the hallway, they felt their desks shaking, their chairs shaking. One of my colleagues, Becca Habegger, reporter here, her phone going off for that alert. She is signed up for the My Shake app. So if you had it on your phone and it went off, that's exactly what that app is for. And we do have some information that it was working, thankfully. And I just got word from my producer now that it is being updated to a 5.8 magnitude earthquake. Again, in Urington, Nevada, that is in a city in Lyon. A 5.5 aftershock now being reported from my producer. Again, bear with us. We are getting live breaking information. So we are going to continue following that. Again, if you felt some shaking at your house, that's what it was, is an earthquake. I'm going to hand things back over to Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. It looks like she might have some updates for us here to the map, the dots that you were seeing earlier.
Yeah, I think there was both a 5.5 and a 5.8.
Okay.
So it's just what was the initial quake? What was the aftershock? Are they two separate quakes? And those are the kinds of things that we're trying to figure out right now. We had the same situation going on last week. I'll be honest with you. The initial quake happened at 7.0 last week, and then there was a reported 5.4 near Cobb, which was close to Clear Lake. And then they went back, they reassessed, and they said, no, actually, this is going to be downgraded to below a 3. So there's a lot that's happening right now live on the air that we're still trying to process along with you. We're just trying to give you the most updated information as our maps are starting to update live here. But you can see we've got two very significant magnitude readings, at least at this point. So I'll just put it out there as that. This 5.8 near Silver Springs, Nevada, is being reported by the USGS. But we also have this one near Urington, which was the first one that we were tracking. So again, we've got two fairly significant quakes going on, reported by the magnitude in approximation of Sacramento. So in terms of the activity level, it is quite active at this point. This is the latest one that I was just seeing pop up here on the map. You can see the relative proximity to the initial one right here in Urington, registered at initial 5.7, but it does look like that may have been pushed down to a 5.5. And then the one just to the north of us here reported as a 5.8 that we're trying to still get the latest information on to determine indeed what the magnitude was. If that was an aftershock? Is that a separate earthquake? When I was on the press conference with the USGS last week, which is the U.S. Geological Survey, I know we keep using these acronyms, sorry about that, and breaking news. So U.S. Geological Survey, they're the ones that, okay, there was another one right there that just popped up as well. Okay, yeah, that is, well, right now I have 5 on the map. Alex was saying we're getting reports of 5. So as you can see, there is a lot of activity right now. This is developing into a much bigger situation than just that 5.7 that we initially were talking about right here. So now we're getting this. This is the latest one that I just saw pop up right here. This was the initial. That was the reported 5.7. It does look like that now is a 5.5, a couple of aftershocks that came thereafter. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the 5th one that just popped up. And again, I would show you this right here. This is what I want to draw your attention to right up here at the top of the screen. This is our earthquake tracker. So we have 3 fairly significant quakes going on in Nevada. These smaller ones are on the range of about 1.0 to 3.0 is the latest that I looked at. But now it is looking like we do have that other quake that is fairly significant. Do you have any more information on that? If not, I can step away and get that.
Yeah, if you want to step away and get some more information. Again, if you're just now joining us, we are continuing to follow this live breaking news. Again, we are getting reports, USGS reporting a 5.8 now magnitude earthquake in Urington, Nevada. That is a city right in Lyon County. Several people reporting that they are feeling this. Some new updates that we have here. We are seeing at least 5 aftershocks. So we have reports of 5 aftershocks, some of them getting up to 5.5. It hit at around 3:08, and there have been several aftershocks after. Again, 5 aftershocks that we're seeing right now, including one that reached a magnitude 5.5. We have our chief meteorologist, Monica Woods, who is looking at this live, trying to bring us some updates here. We know several people at our station felt this. You probably felt it at home. If you did, let us know if you felt it. Send us any videos that you might have. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll do our best to try to answer them. We will be back here live on the air at 4:30 for our breaking newscast as well. So if you have questions, let us know. Don't forget, you can always download our free ABC 10 Plus app. We're going to be tracking it live here on our broadcast as well as our streaming platform. But I do want to start making my way back over to our chief meteorologist who is tracking this right now. Monica, were you able to see any updates right now?
Well, the updates that I'm getting aren't necessarily matching my computer. So I am trying to figure out what we're getting in comparison to what the USGS is reporting. I'm trying to update our computers as much as possible, working on multiple machines right now. But it does look like, as Alex was mentioning, that we do have the reports of the initial earthquake and perhaps subsequently those following aftershocks, which are going to change in magnitude as the USGS starts to assess what happened. So the one that I was showing just a moment ago, a 5.8, Silver Springs, now they're starting to reassess and saying maybe that is perhaps the one from Urington. This is very typical. This isn't something that is an anomaly when earthquakes happen. It's a very active area that they've been tracking throughout the course of the afternoon, all happening just shortly after 3 o'clock, at which point we mobilized as quickly as possible to come on the air and bring you as much information as we could. The shaking, people were noticing that all the way into the Sacramento Valley. So this one right here, I'm still trying to figure out what indeed that one was right there, because our maps sometimes are a little bit delayed behind what the USGS is going to correct those to make sure that the magnitude is right. In terms of the location, proximity to the valley, who felt the shaking, it was felt all the way into the Sacramento Valley, including downtown Sacramento. Many people getting the alerts on their phone from the MyShake app. Last week we were talking about that, how important it is, especially in California. It gives you just a couple seconds of alert time to know when to stop, drop, and cover. So one of the things that everybody learns in school here. So that's pretty much what I have right now. I just want to try to get the correction of what these magnitudes are and how many quakes we actually have, what were the aftershocks. So do you have any more information at this point,
I don't
Alex?
have any updated information at this point. But again, if you are just joining us, we have a breaking news alert. The USGS is reporting a 5.6 magnitude earthquake. I know we're going back and forth between some numbers. Again, we're doing our best to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information, as this is a very fluid situation. This happened in Urington, Nevada. That is a city right in Lyon County. Again, about a 3.5-hour drive from us here in Sacramento, but people really still feeling it, especially us here at the station. I'm sure several of you at home. We're also seeing several aftershocks. We have at least 5 reported aftershocks that have been reported to us, including a 5.5 magnitude. We will continue to follow this breaking news for you on our ABC 10 Plus streaming app. Again, that is free. You can always download it. We'll keep you updated on air and online, and we will be live for our 4:30 p.m. newscast with the latest updates. So make sure you join us. As always, thank you for watching ABC 10, and we'll see you shortly.
Got my two. You're holding two.
Normal business hours, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Katie, can you hear? Yeah? Check 1, 2. No? Okay, good.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Deputy Chief Derek Swope of the Altoona Police Department. Today we're going to go through an incident that occurred in the city of Altoona. This morning at approximately 9:14 a.m., Altoona police officers received a call of a suspicious male at a local restaurant. It was reported that the male matched the description of the UnitedHealthcare murder in New York City. When officers arrived, they made contact with the male who had a face mask on. That male was asked to remove his face mask, and officers immediately recognized him as a suspect in the New York City shooting in recent days. That male was asked for a form of identification. He then provided a fake identification card out of New Jersey. After a brief investigation, it was determined that the ID provided was in fact a fake ID, and he was subsequently arrested. Luigi Mangione. From there, continued search of his property. A firearm was located, and a suppressor was also located. There were also other items of evidentiary value that were located that would assist in this investigation. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Governor Shapiro for some words.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Swope, and let me acknowledge and thank the law enforcement who I'm joined with today, beginning with Lieutenant Colonel Commissioner Tisch from New York. I want to begin by thanking our fellow Pennsylvania resident who acted as a hero today. Pennsylvania resident saw something early this morning at McDonald's and said something to our local police. Our local police here in Altoona acted swiftly. I want to say a special thanks to Officer Tyler Fry of the Altoona Police Department. Officer Fry is about 6 months into his time serving his fellow people here in Pennsylvania, and he acted swiftly, he acted with smarts, and he acted with calm. You know, safety often turns on the strength of the relationship and help law enforcement here in Pennsylvania as we continue with our investigation. You'll see photos of the suspect who was here, and you should know that this suspect traveled between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, making stops in between, obviously here in Altoona. I want to ask all of our fellow Pennsylvanians to help us with any tips that they might have by contacting us at 800-4-PA-TIPS. Again, that number is 800-4 PA tips. The suspect was just arraigned here in the courthouse, and presumably New York will file charges very, very soon. That process will continue to play out, and justice will be delivered in this case. This case is hinged on attention. In fact, the attention in this case and the killing of Brian Thompson was helpful, no doubt, in allowing us to capture this killer, in alerting that individual at McDonald's this morning, and then having that individual contact police. But some attention in this case, especially online, has been deeply disturbing, as some have looked to celebrate instead of condemning this killing. Brian Thompson was a father to two. He was a husband, and he was a friend to many. And yes, he was the CEO of a health insurance company. In America, we do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences or express a viewpoint. I understand people have real frustration with our healthcare system, and I have worked to address that throughout my career. But I have no tolerance, nor should anyone, for one man using an illegal ghost gun to murder someone because he thinks his opinion matters most. In a civil society, we are all less safe when ideologues engage in vigilante justice. In some dark corners, this killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's this morning. The real heroes every day in our society are the women and men who put on uniforms like these and go out in our communities to keep us safe. This killer is not a hero. He should not be hailed. Mr. Thompson, I understand, was laid to rest earlier today in Minnesota in a private setting. As the conversation continues about this case, let's be mindful not to dehumanize him and make him just an avatar of a system that is disliked by many. He was a father, he was a husband, and he did not deserve to die like this on the sidewalk in New York City. I again want to thank all law enforcement present here this evening. Law enforcement works best when it works together. In this case, you have the New York Police Department working together with the Altuna Police Department, working together with our Pennsylvania State Police and our partners at the federal level as well. Everyone came together to solve this case and keep the public safe. I again want to ask my fellow Pennsylvanians, if you have any information.
Thank District Attorney Seidel. He and his staff came down from Manhattan District Attorney's Office today in record time to assist us at the Altoona Police Department. And as the governor stated, the state police, the Altoona Police Department, the FBI, the New York City Police Department, Logan Township Police Department, the Blair County Sheriff's Department, and other agencies all worked together today to do what needed to be done to seek justice. I'd often talk about how the community in Blair County to contact local law introduce Deputy Commissioner Daugherty at this time.
Customer at the McDonald's that's seen something, says something to the McDonald's employee that called 911 and report this individual inside of their restaurant. The men and women behind me, detectives. Some of these detectives that are standing behind me haven't been home since Tuesday when this incident happened. They've been working this case tirelessly around the clock. And when they got that phone call, immediately they jumped in their car, to the police car, and raced down here to go see if this was the individual they were looking for. That's dedication. That's their commitment to bringing this individual to justice is just standing behind me. And on behalf of the mayor and the police commissioner, they extend their thanks and appreciation to you as well. Here's a message to the criminal element that think that they want to commit a crime in New York City and cross state lines, county lines. The message is very clear. Police Commissioner Tish's police department will find you and bring you to justice. Just look behind you. Thank you.
I think with that, we'll be happy to try and take a few questions.
Governor, question, I guess maybe for the local enforcement about the arrest specifically today.
We'll defer to Altuna, please.
I guess I'm curious if you could hear a little bit more about the dynamics, you could set the police, or to hear a little bit more about the dynamics inside that McDonald's. I know there was some detail in the affidavit about what happened when the individual was asked if he didn't resort to the leader and how that played out.
Sure. So it was a peaceful arrest, first and foremost. The officer quickly recognized the male as the suspect from the shooting. And within several seconds of the first contact, he had asked the suspect if he had been in New York City recently. And that really invoked a physical reaction from the suspect. He became visibly nervous, kind of shaking at that question. And he didn't really answer it directly. So that statement alone really said a lot, and the suspect didn't have to say a lot after that question to show that, you know, he was very nervous at that point.
Would that be officer that the governor mentioned who wanted it out?
Yes, so Officer Fry's here to my left. Officer Fry stepped this way a little bit, and then his partner that he was with, Officer Joe Detweiler.
Officer, could you maybe identify yourself and maybe describe that whole interaction and what played out?
Yeah, Patrolman Fry, Tylerfrye. So whenever we got on scene there, we were able to pretty much find where he was at in the restaurant. And as soon as he was wearing a blue medical mask. As soon as we pulled that down, or we asked him to pull it down, me and my partner and I recognized him immediately, just from what we saw in the media with photos, videos. We just didn't even think twice about it. We knew that was our guy, but he was very cooperative with us. Didn't really give us too many issues. Once we found out his identity, we took it from there.
How does it feel after 6 months on the job as a law enforcement officer to be part of this arrest?
I can't say I was expecting it by any means, but it feels good to get a guy like that off the street, especially starting my career this way. It feels great.
Sir, upon his arrest, has he made any statements since his arrest? Has he asked for a lawyer yet?
To my knowledge, he hasn't made any statements.
You guys are saying in Altuna, and where is he staying, and then was he done on himself, or was it in like a car somewhere?
We are still investigating how long he's been in Altuna. There's still a lot of follow-up to do in this case. Again, the men and women behind me are assisting with that. So we're still looking into it.
I'm going to ask Lieutenant Colonel Bivens of the Pennsylvania State Police to address the question you just raised.
So there are a lot of things that need to be followed up yet in this investigation. Certainly, there were a number of items that were found on his person, in his backpack, that have been inventoried, and we've begun to do an analysis of some of those. There were written documents There are electronic devices that are in the process of being downloaded. Search warrants are obtained. And so over the next hours and days, those efforts will continue. And we're going to take a closer look at all of the information that we can glean from that regarding his activities up until and during the time of the homicide, his flight from New York. And we know that he has been in Pennsylvania, excuse me, for several days. And so part of that investigation will also focus on trying to retrace his steps. We've already identified businesses, for example, that he frequented in this area and activities that he engaged in. That led us to more evidence. And so all of that is becoming kind of a mountain of evidence that has to be analyzed and looked at. I'm confident we'll have a much better idea of his activities over the past number of days in New York and in Pennsylvania. Additionally, we're also trying to determine that we don't have another actor or an accomplice out there. So this information will be used to help us prove or disprove whether that exists and whether there were any other intended targets. So a lot of questions that are out there that are unanswered yet, but we have a lot of information that we can examine that hopefully will give us some of those pieces of data that we need. Someone asked about the interview. He was initially cooperative. He is not now. And so he has been arraigned and transported and will be securely housed pending the filing of additional charges in New York.
Yes. We're not going to get into any more details at this time. We would like to hear from any Pennsylvanian or any Pittsburgher who had any sightings or any dealings with the individual. That's why I specifically asked for anyone with tips to share that with us.
How does that process work? Okay, you have your PCN, but what happens with the New York record?
And how long does it take?
Thank you.
So that answer depends. Once the charging documents are filed in the state of New York, we will file a fugitive justice complaint against the defendant. It'll be brought before a common pleas judge shortly thereafter, and the defendant will be presented with the option to waive his extradition or to contest his extradition. If he waives his extradition, we of course will make him available to the NYPD and the Manhattan District. Attorney's office is.
The backpack itself right now, you had the one that was in New York. We know if that's the same one that you had at the time of the shooting there, or is this backpack that you had here the one that you may have acquired? And finding inside, and cash and foreign currency as well, is that correct?
I'll defer to someone else. I'm not going to speculate on any of the interpretation of the evidence. I'm going to rely on the officers doing the investigation to complete that and reach their conclusion.
Can we say that there are possible motives in this case? At this point, he is a suspect in the hit on the United CEO. Can be called a suspect at this point? Obviously, the question on.
Yes, as we confirmed at his preliminary arraignment, with the permission of District Attorney Seidel, we expect charges to be filed forthwith. And obviously, that I'm not going to speculate on that timing, but tonight or tomorrow or sometime in the very near future for homicide.
Any insight into your sorry, sir, can I just ask, in terms of the officers investigating this case, can you say any more about a suspected possible motive?
So at this point, we're not going to comment on that. I mentioned that there is a lot of information to go through. Certainly everything has been or will be shared with NYPD, but there is other information that really doesn't even pertain to that investigation that, again, focuses more on his activities here in Pennsylvania and other travels. So all of that hopefully will shine more light on it. There is some information that gives us some insight into his thinking, but again, all part of the ongoing investigation. Way too early to discuss that.
Can you say more about the document that was found, the handwritten document?
As far as the NYPD, we're not going to Detective Joe Kinney will update the media at One Police Plaza. But I will be happy to talk about that. The Commissioner Tish and the New York City Mayor did FaceTime Officer Fry and then thanked them for their service. So that was he got a pretty cool phone call from the Mayor and our Police Commissioner.
Do we know how he got to Pennsylvania? Was it through aircraft, train, bus? How did he arrive in Pennsylvania?
Again, we do have a good idea of that, but all part of the ongoing investigation.
But just to clarify, Governor, you had suggested, I think I heard you, I want to make sure I'm correct, that he, I guess he took a bus from the terminal to Roxbury of Philly, and then from there he was around the state and wound up here, or is that your, can you be any more specific about how you think this is going?
Well, again, I'll jump in. It's all part of the ongoing investigation. So yes, we do have a good idea how he got from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, but there are some gaps in time. And so before we start laying out a timeline of his travel, we really need to work through all of that. And so we know that at some point it is likely he was in a variety of locations across the state, to include Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and points in between. Again, that'll all be part of the, logically, he's caught here in Altuna, so logically he was in those locations first. But again, the timeline of all of that will be part of the ongoing.
So how did you detection of several days, obviously he was caught in the well this morning. That's got for the past few days, he's been on the run for multiple days at this point. How did he manage to evade detection for so long?
So I think, again, as part of the ongoing investigation, when we determine where he's been, where he stayed, those kinds of things, we may be able to answer some of those questions. But right now I will tell you that based on everything that we have seen, he was very careful with trying to stay low profile, avoid cameras, not all that successfully in some cases, but that was certainly the effort he was making. He took steps to try and avoid detection with some of the electronic devices and things as well. So again, all part of the investigation, but clearly, somebody that was very security conscious and trying to avoid someone
He
identifying.
has no criminal record, and this was a name that was not previously known to law enforcement?
I am not aware of a criminal history.
Could you speak to those tech evasion devices? It was mentioned in the hearing, and then the defendant said that those were water sleeping bags. Could you speak a little bit more to what was taken into evidence today?
No, not at this point. Again, I've spoken generally about what's there, but at this point, everything remains under investigation, and we'll have much more information, and New York will certainly have information for you in the future.
Can we just clarify that, sorry, can we clarify, so there's still a search for any other suspects other than the accomplice or potential accomplice?
We're still going to canvass. We're still going to investigate. Like I said before, we're going to provide an update in a couple of days by the police commissioner and the chief of detectives back at New York. I will say
Wanted someone to check it out further.
Can you confirm which restaurant it was? Was it the one on Plank Road?
I'm not familiar with the address of that. It's a McDonald's, but
Police know?
is that it? Yes, they tell me it is.
The suspect disputed the currency. Can you explain why there might be discrepancy or how much he was found to have?
Again, we're not going to talk about what was found in the bag. We have accurately cataloged everything that was in there, and that'll be a matter for the future.
8 weeks. Could you repeat what you said in court about that money?
I certainly stand by all the comments I made at the preliminary arraignment, but I'm not going to comment any more on the evidence at this time. my comments at preliminary arraignment were in support of my argument for bail. Thank you.
We probably have time for one or two more questions. Is he being held in a county or state facility?
He will likely be taken to a state correctional institution later this evening.
Can I just say specifically for Pennsylvania law enforcement, over the past few months, you've had the attempted assassination of a former president, now president-elect. Now you've had this. What do you think about that?
Violence can never be used to address political differences or to address a substantive difference or to try and prove some ideological point. That is not what we do in a civilized society. That was true in Butler, it was true in New York City, and it's true anywhere. That is not how you make progress in this country. The suspect here who shot at that CEO and killed that CEO is a coward, not a hero. And we need to make sure that in this country, we get back to having a civil discourse about our differences. And that is an important lesson coming out of Pennsylvania, and it is one that I think the rest of the nation needs to hear as well. On a law enforcement side, I will tell you that I am incredibly proud of the Pennsylvania State Police and local police in Butler and here in Altuna, who responded in a way that kept others safe and saved other lives. That was true at the fairgrounds in Butler, and it was true here today in Altuna. Had that local Pennsylvanian not spoken up, had that wonderful police officer who's been on this job for 6 months not acted calmly and swiftly, God knows what could have happened. So I think the lessons coming out of Pennsylvania are that violence is not a way to answer questions and address problems, and that we have the gift of law enforcement here in this Commonwealth who care deeply about the safety and well-being of our fellow Pennsylvanians and our fellow Americans, and I commend them for that.
Thank you all. Very rapid here.
Jeremy? Yeah,